Yo, what's going on, guys? This is going to be my Stam Sork build for Lost Depths. Let's get right into our stats here. We're putting all our points into max stamina, so we have plenty of max health. We're rocking 35k max health, 28k max stamina, 1200 stamina recovery, 1000 magic recovery, 4300 weapon damage, and then 20% crit with 20k resistances, 1700 crit resist, and 4k pen. Fully buffed up, rocking 6,000 weapon damage, 32% crit, with 1600 recovery and 30k resistances on both our front and back bar. For my Mundstone, I'm going to be rocking the Warrior. I chose to rock the Warrior because it just gives me the most damage, and with this build I think I just need more damage more than anything. And then we're rocking Vampire Stage 3. It's just OP, what can I say? And then Smoke Bear Hunt for our food. Jewels, a Mistral is definitely the better option since it's the purple version and way cheaper. And we're not all rich, so I definitely recommend just running Jewels and Mistral on this build. For our break free cost, we're rocking 4800. Our crit damage 6%, and our crit healing is also 6%. For raise, I recommend Imperial on this build. Since we're rocking no recovery whatsoever, Imperial gives us the best sustain, and that allows us to do that the best. Plus it gives you a nice 2k max health, 2k max stamina. But if you don't want to run Imperial, you could run Orc for most damage, Nord for more tankiness, Wood Elf for some sustain and some damage. Those are all your good options, I think, with this build, but Imperial definitely comes out on head just because of the sustain it gives you over the other races. For my monster set, I'll be running the Balorix here. I just chose to run this once again for the reason I just want the most damage possible, and Balorix really does that. Plus with the ult I'm running, this synergizes pretty well with that. So it's one of the main reasons I'm running it. If you want some sustain, Engine Guardian can definitely do that for you. You just might have some problem on the super tanky targets where Balorix just helps you a lot, since you can save up your ult and go for a massive burst combo. Then we're rocking One Piece Trainee, Clever Alchemist on the back bar here, and then Bow of the Fire on the front bar. We're rocking Impen on our shoes, waist, and gloves here. These are all our medium pieces. Heavy on our legs, shoulders, helmet, knees and toes, and shoulder piece. These are our heavy pieces, all reinforced. Our ring is going to be Markin Ring infused weapon damage here. This is my preferred mythic. The other mythic you could run is Malakath. I don't think it's worth it because we're running crit pots on this build. And if you're not running crit pots and you choose to run tripods, then I could definitely see Malakath more viable. But since we're not running that, I recommend Markin because it gives you nice damage and good amount of tankiness, which helps a lot. But Malakath is another really solid option. And we're running infused weapon damage, necklace, and other ring here. I just want the most damage once again. All prismatic list, by the way, if you are wondering. Our weapon will be a great sword here for more weapon and spell damage to increase our heals, and that will synergize well with Powered here. I think Powered is very strong in this patch. You definitely don't need defending on your back bar at all. I think Powered is super strong with the vigor buffs. This is definitely like makes that skill way harder now, so vigor hits like a truck with Powered. And then I chose to run weapon damage glyph on the back bar here just to give us my most damage on our front bar and whatnot. For our front bar here, we're running shock for the 5% extra damage, and then sharpened gives us most damage once again, and then the Bow of the Fire here. I really like this set. It's one of my favorite sets this patch. I think it's very, 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 very strong. For our skills, we're running Magnum Shot, Bound Armaments, Crystal Frag, Focused Aim, and Ball of Lightning. And then for our ultimate, we're running the Ballista. This ult's insanely good at dishing out an insane amount of damage with pressure. Plus, it synergizes pretty well with Balorix since it's the 154 ultimate, and that definitely enhances Balor. The combo on this setup is pretty strong since you can go a Focus Aim into a Magnum into a Frag, and then you just use Bound Armaments as consistent pressure once you proc your 4 auto attacks. And then Ball Lightning here, this is our snare removable. Since Magnum Shots are stun, I don't think I need Streak whatsoever, but you could run Streak here, but I don't think it's worth it. Ball Lightning's just way better on this setup. But our flex buff will be Bound Armaments for this build. You could run Endless Fury if you're looking for an execute. Another one that you could run is Rager Caltrops. This gives you an AoE dot and Major Fracture, since we have no way to get Major Fracture on this build. So this could be the way you look to get it. On our back, we're running Haunting Curse. It's just our nice proc damage. Rally, how to get our Major Brutality, Vigor, Dark Deal, Hurricane, and Temporal Guard for the minor protection. You choose whatever back bar you want. If you guys want, you can also run Dawnbreaker of Smiting here instead of Ballista. That is another option, totally up to you. Once again, I want to mention that I am running crit pots here. You could run tripods if you're running tripods. I just chose to run crit pots because I don't want to run Camouflage Hunter here. Because if I feel like I would run Camouflage Hunter here if I chose to run tripods, which is something I don't want to do. I definitely think it's better just to run Bound Armaments with crit pots. But that's just personal preference, and you can do whatever you want. Onto our blue tree. For blue tree, I chose to run Mastered Arms and Deadly Aim. This gives me the most overall damage. We have no way to set people off balance, so we can't use Exploiters, sadly. You could run Force of Nature if you want some extra damage, but it's only like 1% extra damage, so I don't think it's worth it whatsoever, and I don't like any of the blue passives, so I chose to run Focus Mending. This increases all our heals, by the way, if you are wondering. This increases our Rally, Vigor, and Dark Deal. So as without Alch proc, our Vigor heals for 29k over 5 seconds, which is just insane. Without proc, this goes over to like 31k or something. It goes really high, which is very nice. So we have pretty good healing on a Sorc, which is rare. And then our other CP will be Ironclad here, reduces direct damage taken by 3%. And this just gives us overall DR. Since Stam Sorc has no way to get DR, I think this is pretty much a must on their class. And then get all your CP passives as you see fit. For the red tree, it's pretty stock standard. Fortify for the damage reduction, Pain Refuge once again for the damage reduction. Since we have no way to cleanse dots, I definitely think Pain Refuge is very strong on a Stam Sorc and pretty much a must. Sustained by Suffering, once again no way to clear dots, so a must. And Survival Instinct, this helps us a lot with our sustain, and I definitely recommend this. This helps a lot, but one of the best CP passives in the entire game. For the green tree, it's all personal preference, but I recommend running Gifted Rider, War Mount, Rationer, and Liquid Efficiency. Alright, I'll show you our back part here fully buffed up. If you guys are wondering in terms of numbers, we're running 33k on Vigor. That hits very hard, this doesn't scale. But our Haunting Curse does 15k, our Snipe does 11k, our Fire does 11.5k once again. Mana Shot does 8k, and Battle does 3700. Ballista does 67k, so we have a bunch of pressure that we can unleash onto our opponents. So as you can see there, we get a bunch of damage. That's not even with Balor's proc. With Balor's proc, it'll go up by a bit, but not by a whole bunch. So let's go over how you want to start the build or the combo off. So I like to open the starter with Bound Armaments. Then go for an auto, switch bars into a haunting, switch back, go for an auto. The frag will proc, and then you will Magnum Shot into the frag, and then as the frag hits, you just proc Bound Armaments, and then once that's done, you just rinse and repeat. Wow, little bugger. Alright. Yeah, so generally you want to play it, you proc by using Bound Armaments into Haunting, into Snipe. You snipe until frag procs. Once frag procs, you go for another snipe into the Magnum Shot, or you can even also switch bars, reapply Curse. This is something I like to do as well. Is reapply Curse, go for a snipe into a Magnum, into a Crystal Frag, and then Bound Armament. There's a lot of damage since Magnum Shot and Focus Aim hit very close together. If I can show you right here. So if we go into a snipe, they hit like really close together, so it's pretty much a free damage, and then frag will hit, and as they're breaking out of the CC, the frag will hit before they have a chance to get out. So you do a bunch of damage, and most of the time you don't block right away, so you'll get a free snipe, a free magnum, and a free crystal frag. And if you time it right, you'll also get a free haunting on them without any of it getting blocked. And that does an insane amount of burst damage, though more than likely block the Bound Armaments, but that's just sustained pressure. So yeah. And then if you I haven't hard time killing. Ballista will just shred through them. This is an insane damaging ult. This does a lot of damage. This does over 15,000 damage a second, which is a lot. And that definitely can go up really high. So when I like to, before I use proc my Elk, I always like to make sure everything's up. I put the Haunting on, proc Elks, go for the Snipe spam until the frag will proc. Once the frag procs, I go for the Magnum, and then I go for the Ballista. As you see, that does 84k right there, which is an insane amount. That's 84k, almost 20k damage. That's every second. It's insane. So yeah, I would go into a Ballista, and then, you know, Magnum into a frag. So it just depends on the situation. If you are going for the ult, the best way to do it is to Ballista into Magnum, so they can't block the Ballista coming right off the bat, and then as the Magnum's hitting, you go into the frag. It does a bunch of burst damage, an insane amount of pressure. You just keep doing that off repeat. But the really nice thing is you are very hard to kill. Like, if someone's coming on you, you just quickly do a roll into a streak, you just sprint, and you just wait till the streak goes off cooldown, do another roll, and you're impossible to catch. And if they are getting close to you, since you have a ranged stun, you just magnum them away, and you just have kiting for days on it. It's a pretty ratty play style, but it's pretty fun. It's definitely not for everyone, but if you want to play like more like a rat, sit from afar and do a bunch of damage for free, since frag has an insane amount of range, 28 meters, 40 meters, 28 meters, like 22, like you have so much range on this. Plus it goes up, I think, even more with the Cyrodiil passive. Yeah, so 28. So Magnum won't go up, I think the rest do. But yeah, so you get a lot of range, and it's a very unique playstyle. You just poke and run a lot, very hard to kill, insane amount of range damage for how far you are. And yeah, if you want to range execute, by the way, so I recommend Endless. This is a range execute. I don't think you need it, but if you want to run that, you definitely can. And with that, if you guys did find this helpful, or you guys want to ask any questions, feel free to ask. I'm always happy to answer any questions down below regarding the build and whatnot. And with that, if you guys did enjoy the video, it means a lot to me. Hit that like button and subscribe. And with that, I hope you guys all have a fantastic day.